Hello to all my listeners and watchers out there. Thank you for being here. I have a little bit of a disclaimer about this upcoming episode. The content is fantastic. However, my sound a little messed up. That's my fault. I apologize. I didn't know it until long after it was recorded. There's actually 2 episodes like this. If you just stick with it so you can get the good content out of it, all the rest of the episodes will be better, I promise. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Are you an obsessed foodie? When you travel, do you like to look at the markets or see what people are eating and learn about the whole through your food and their wine and their markets? If so, you are going to love this episode. I have with me today guest Susan Reinke, and she is the founder and director of Global Palate Adventures. So this is all driven by her passion to connect those who grow our food with those who celebrate it in the kitchen. This is traveling, this is food, this is eating, this is drinking, this is taking cooking classes in kitchens from Spain to Thailand. So wherever she goes, you will have a real experiential time with her in the kitchen or at the markets, wherever it is. Welcome to the show, Susan.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Karen. I'm excited to be here.
Great. So why don't you start off? Just tell us about a time that you or your guests had a really fantastic time in a kitchen while you were traveling.
Okay, I would love to. So I love to see the connections that my guests come away with. They connect both with each other because we have pretty small groups that travel, and then the connections they take away from the people they meet while we're traveling. It may be chefs or cooks in a kitchen, or it might be a winemaker or a sheep farmer. But some of the kitchen adventures have ranged from a home, an apartment, up 5 flights of stairs in Parma, Italy, with the woman and her daughter that lived there, to a professional kitchen in San Sebastián where the chefs had their whites on and they were tough with us. But we had chefs in our group with us and they loved it. So we have different kinds of cooking experiences, and we usually do about one cooking class a trip. And I find that that's enough for people because it's fun, but it's also work. In Bordeaux, we went with Chef Franck, and he didn't speak any English, only French, but we could understand what he's saying to the vendors and showing us the food. And then we went back to his kitchen and watched him cook, helped him cook. So some of it's very hands-on and some of it's not. I'd say one of the most memorable was when we were in Barcelona and they had a strike going on in the whole city. So our class had to pivot. I had to pivot everything on that trip, but our class had to go to a different location. And we followed this chef all over town and we probably walked 2 miles to get to his kitchen. But by the time we did, we were there for hours and everyone had the most amazing bonding experiences, cutting the heads off the fish, and then, of course, enjoying our food together.
This particular time where you followed the chef all over town, was he cooking for a restaurant or for you?
He cooked for us, and he took us to a private cooking school. There was nobody else in the room but us, but it was a professionally set up, not a home. Yeah.
And do you cross a lot of territory typically on these tours?
So it varies. Sometimes we stay in one city, in one hotel, and we take day trips. I don't want to be one of those groups where every day's a different city. Packing and unpacking, that takes time. So generally the tours are about a week. South Africa is going to be 10 days, of course, but typically there are 7 or 8 nights and either one hotel, maximum 3. But if we need to go see things, we do. And a lot of times they're day trips to see vineyards or sheep farms or windmills where they're producing bread.
What kind of people do you find taking these tours?
My connection through agriculture and food actually goes way back in my career. So when I started this business 10 years ago, my clients were and still are my business associates in that world. So I'm very lucky. So some are chefs and some are food PR people, writers, marketing people in the food world. And now they bring their friends and their family. And now it's sort of word of mouth. So that's kind of how it started.
So you said you're going to South Africa. for example. Have you been to South Africa?
I have not been to South Africa. I've been to Kenya and
Mm.
saw how much I loved Africa and I wanted to experience more of it. That was not a food tour. So when I thought I want to take my guests and my clients somewhere in Africa, I chose South Africa because of the wine industry there. I know that and so we'll be multiple places there. We're going to be Cape Town and then the wine area and then safari.
Nice. Yeah, what a great trip. I was looking at that earlier and I saw that you are going to see the penguins, which is on my list. Do you have a favorite place or have your people said, we really want to go here, that you end up going over and over again?
Yes, and yes. We haven't done a lot of repeat trips because typically I lead them myself for now. But so I pick places I either haven't been or I've just been briefly and I want to do a tour there. But we did repeat Sicily this year and we did it a few years ago because I had such a big request for that. So Sicily repeated and we saw a little bit more of the country. There's east and west, and there's so much to see. We are repeating Portugal. We were there, we did a group trip there in 2018. And I thought, oh, so many people I know in the food world have been to Portugal, but I'm going to put it out there. I have 2 sold out back-to-back trips. I think people still want to go to Portugal.
I don't even know what kind of food they're known for. Would it be similar to Spain?
Some similarities, and then they have their own specialties. So certainly seafood, because everything's based on that. And a lot of shellfish, tinned fish, anchovies, mussels, sardines. They're one of my favorite things I've ever eaten. Let's see if I can say it. It's patiche. I'm messing up the pronunciation, but they're custard pastries. And what's fun about foods sometimes is that they have a history behind them. So the monks, many hundreds of years ago, used the egg whites to starch their clothes. So they had all these leftover egg yolks, and they came up with this custard dessert. And they keep the recipe still very secret. But boy, to get them fresh there is one of my favorite things. You're tying the culture and the food together and the history and the food together. That's one of the reasons people want to travel, not just to eat and drink, but to learn and understand the culture and then bring back the memories of the people they met.
And have you gone anywhere new and had something on your plate that shocked you or surprised you?
I'd say the trip that I went on that, well, I can think of a couple of them where I tried things that shocked me, whether it's the crickets in Oaxaca, which the grasshoppers, I gave those a try and they were just sort of savory, crunchy. They were fine. And then in Thailand, the durian fruit, that is the smell, it blows you away. It's so bad.
That fruit. Why do you suppose they ate that in the first place if it's so putrid?
Right.
I've heard it's like really bad old socks or
It's
something.
terrible. It's terrible. And that's a good question. I don't think we asked the tour guide that, and we should have. Well, I think about foods like that. Like, who thought to first eat an artichoke? The stickers and the fuzz, and they're absolutely delicious. But how did they figure that out?
I'm really curious about that as well, because there's some foods we have to eat cooked or we can't eat cooked or shouldn't. So that's really interesting that you do get into some of that history while you're on these trips.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We do. We get into, we get in the history as well as how they're grown. And because we like to take people out into the fields, talk with the farmers and the winemakers. So we get those stories too.
You mentioned one of your upcoming trips is South Africa. Why don't you tell everyone the name of your website?
Thank you. Yes, it's Global Palate, palate like the tongue, Palate, adventures.com.
And how many trips a year do you typically do?
Well, interesting. In 2026, we have 4 planned with the double trip to Portugal. And in 2027, we're going to add to that. I started out my business 10 years ago just doing 1 trip a year because it was a side business. But this year, 2025, we did 3. So we're slowly growing.
Oh, how many are in a group usually?
We have had 2 groups that were 14, 15. However, I like to keep them at 12 max. So I would say depending on the destination, we're between 8 and 12. Yeah. And we're a mixed group of a lot of groups turn out to be women only, but most groups have a few couples of either gender, and a lot of women either come with friends or come on their own, and then we make friends. We try to say no one dines alone. You can come as a solo on this trip, but you're not alone. Even on the free afternoons, evenings, we always make sure everyone has something to do.
So you do things outside of food, obviously, safaris and other things. What about if you're not in wine country? Do you explore any of the other kinds of alcohol or beverages?
We are going to Charleston, South Carolina in February, and yes, some of the wonderful restaurants have wonderful wine, but it's not a wine producing area. But it is known for distilling spirits. There are a couple of good distilleries there, but we're going to make that trip more about the culture and the history and the local foods. And we're going to oyster harvesting. So we also have done a trip to Scotland, and we did a private trip there. And again, that is not a big wine producing area, of course. Probably they don't produce any wines because of the climate, but there are some amazing whiskeys to taste there. So we did a little bit of that. And you know what? If someone doesn't drink, there are people that come on our trip that don't drink alcohol at all. And that's fine because there's always other alternatives.
Right. Are you a cook or a chef? How did you get into food in the first place?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't cook a lot. I like to cook. I prefer restaurants and learning about food, reading cookbooks. But I got into this because I've spent my whole career in agriculture marketing, specializing in the food service industry. So the restaurant industry, all parts of the food service industry, and working with chefs and restaurant chains to independent restaurants. And some of my clients in that world, we set up tours for chefs to come see the berry fields or the citrus orchards, or we might take media people out into the fields. So it had some similarities, and that's where the idea was born for me.
Do you garden at home, or did you when you were younger?
My mother is a really good gardener. No, I'm not.
I have no agree with that. But you're really interested in the entire process.
Yes, I'm fascinated. One of my favorite things to do in the world is to walk through a field and get my boots muddy and listen to farmers talk because they are a special group of people. Definitely.
Absolutely. And it can't be easy. I look at all the work that they must go through.
Oh, no, it's not easy at all. And yeah, they need a lot of support. And a lot of them are family businesses. People don't realize that it's a 24/7 business and you're dependent on Mother Nature too.
Like, what do you want people to come away with when they're done with one of your trips? It's like,
Well, that's a good question. I would say 2 things off the top of my head. Of course, a better understanding of the country that they just left, the culture and the food, of course. But I love for them to have those memories that they bring up to me a few years later. Remember that beekeeper we met? He was so funny. Or maybe remember the sheep farmer we met? But the second part that I really love is the people that make connections that come on these trips and that don't know each other and go away as friends. I see them becoming Facebook connected and traveling together on future trips or asking if so-and-so is coming. I love connecting people. And so this gives me a chance to do that because people come on these trips and come away with memories of the location, but also new friends.
yeah. As we wrap up, I want to make sure you share your website again, and if you have any particular trip coming up and anything else you want to add.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I have 4 trips planned for 2026. The first one is Charleston, South Carolina in February. And then in May, we're going to Japan, which I'm
Oh.
very excited about. And then in September are the 2 Portugal trips, which are sold out, but we do have wait lists. Sometimes people can't come. And then October is South Africa. And I'm working on 2027 now because it takes about a year to plan these trips. And then we have, if people want to go to their website, globalpalateadventures.com, you can join our newsletter. And it's just quarterly, but it announces all the new trips. We've done this the last couple of years. We let people vote on their favorite destinations. And if we get a lot of votes for something, we'll think, oh, let's look into running that trip. So that'll come out soon.
Okay. A quick question about Japan first. So when I think of Japan and food, there's a whole bunch of things going through my head. Do you know what some of the focus will be?
Yes, we're going to take a deep dive into all of it because we're going to start with we do a lot of food markets and street food. Our first day is going to be going to a Tokyo market where they have everything, and we're going to try it all. Of course, there's going to be sushi, but then there's going to be so many things that are going to be new. Even if you don't like seafood, there's plenty of chicken, beef, veggies, of course, too, but it'll be heavily on the seafood, savory pancakes. They have a lot of cultural foods we are not even familiar with. So I'm excited about that.
Street foods are probably a great way because that's when you really see what the locals are eating, don't you?
Yes, yes. And they're fresh. They're making them right before your eyes. So there's no mystery of the back of the house. You see it all.
That's right. You know what's going on. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I think it sounds interesting. I'm going to go on at least one trip. I don't know which one yet. Thank you so much for being here, Susan. Globalpalateadventures.com. And you can help vote on where to go next, which I think is a fabulous idea. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. This was very fun. I appreciate it.
All right. You're welcome. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.